In the quiet recesses of the human mind, there has always lingered a fascination with the ends of the Earth. The polar regions, vast and untouched, have for centuries acted as a silent siren call to explorers, scientists, and dreamers alike. These icy expanses, cloaked in perpetual cold and often shrouded in mystery, have beckoned with a quiet persistence. They offer no warmth or comfort, yet their allure is undeniable. The polar regions, both Arctic and Antarctic, stand as Earth's final frontiers, seeming more distant and more formidable than any other landscape. They have long been perceived as the ultimate test of endurance and courage, a place where the boundaries of human capability are pushed to their limits. The very notion of setting foot on these frozen lands conjures images of solitude and endless horizons, of skies that shift from light to dark in a dance with the seasons. For centuries, the poles have held a unique place in the collective imagination. They are anchors of the planet, fixed points around which our world turns. Despite their remoteness, they have drawn humanity towards them with an almost magnetic pull. The reasons for this are manifold. There is a desire to conquer the unknown, to chart the uncharted, and to stand where few have stood before. It is an urge to map the edges of the map, to fill in the blank spaces that, though fewer now, were once vast and many. Yet, it is not just the physical challenge that captivates. The poles hold a metaphysical allure as well. They represent the boundaries of human experience, places where nature reigns supreme, and human influence is fleeting and often invisible. The very harshness of these environments demands respect and humility. They remind us of our smallness, our fragility in the face of nature's vastness. Over the centuries, many have been drawn northwards and southwards by curiosity and ambition. There was a time when the poles offered the promise of new trade routes, a quicker path between continents, a shortcut that would change the world. This potential for discovery drove many expeditions, each hoping to unlock the secrets held within the ice. National pride played its part as well, as countries strove to claim these distant lands as part of their empires, a testament to their reach and power. The mysteries of the poles have also been a source of scientific inquiry. The unique conditions there offer glimpses into Earth's past and clues about its future. The ice holds records of ancient climates, while the life that thrives in these extreme conditions reveals the adaptability of nature. Each expedition, therefore, was not just a journey of physical endurance, but an exploration of knowledge, a quest to understand the world a little better. As humans ventured into these icy realms, they encountered a world unlike any other. The Arctic and Antarctic are landscapes of extremes, where temperatures plummet and the wind bites with a ferocity unknown elsewhere. Navigation is fraught with challenges, as compasses spin uselessly close to the magnetic poles, and the landscape shifts with the movement of ice. In such a place, even small misjudgments can have significant consequences. The history of polar exploration is not merely a tale of triumphs. It is also a chronicle of hardships and losses, of expeditions that vanished into the white void, never to return. The poles have claimed many lives, their stories now woven into the icy fabric of these regions. Yet for each tale of tragedy, there are lessons learned, insights gained, and a deeper understanding of both the environment and human resilience. In the quiet moments as the snow falls and the wind whispers across the frozen plains, one can reflect on the enduring appeal of these distant lands. The poles continue to hold a special place in the human psyche. They are reminders of our innate curiosity, our desire to explore and understand, and our willingness to face challenges that seem insurmountable. The allure of the poles lies not just in their mystery, but also in what they reveal about ourselves. As we embark on this reflective journey through the history of polar exploration, let us consider the quiet persistence of these regions to capture the human spirit. Perhaps it is this very silence, this stillness at the ends of the earth, that calls to us across the ages, inviting us to listen, to learn, and to appreciate the delicate balance of nature's extremes. If you find yourself drawn to these serene narratives, do consider sharing the time it is where you are now and where you're listening from. And if our voyage into the quiet stories of the polar regions resonates with you, subscribing to The Wandering Mind will ensure you can join us on future explorations. In the serene expanse of Antarctica, the world appears as a canvas of white, stretching endlessly beyond the horizon. Here, ice reigns supreme, a silent monarch over a frozen kingdom. The Antarctic ice sheet, vast and unyielding, holds a significant portion of the planet's fresh water, locked away in its frozen embrace. This environment, sculpted by eons of cold, is a place where temperatures often plummet far below freezing and the air is crisp and clear, carrying the faintest whisper of the wind. In this realm, shadows of the past linger, and time seems to slow to a crawl. The sun, when it deigns to appear, hovers low in the sky, casting long, languid shadows across the ice. Here, the concept of day and night blurs, as the sun circles the horizon in a perpetual dance during the summer months, while winter brings a long, unbroken night. This absence of the familiar rhythm of light and darkness is but one of the many challenges faced by those who venture into these polar extremes. The Arctic, too, presents its own formidable challenges, though it is a region more touched by life. Here, the landscape is a mosaic of sea ice, tundra, and islands scattered like jewels in the icy waters. The Arctic Ocean, a vast, frigid expanse, is often hidden beneath a cap of ice that ebbs and flows with the seasons. Yet, beneath this icy veneer, life endures, with creatures adapted to survive in a world where temperatures can be punishingly low and resources scarce. Both poles share a profound silence, a stillness that envelops everything, broken only by the occasional crack of ice or the distant call of a bird. It is a silence that can be both comforting and unsettling, a reminder of the isolation that characterizes these regions. For those unaccustomed to such quietude, the absence of sound can be as disconcerting as the cold itself, a constant companion in a landscape that feels untouched by time. Navigation in these frozen realms is fraught with difficulty. The magnetic compass, a tool that has guided explorers for centuries, becomes unreliable near the poles, where the magnetic lines of force converge and dance unpredictably. This erratic behavior necessitates a reliance on the stars, or in more modern times, on the precision of satellite technology. Yet even with the aid of technology, the vast expanses of ice present a daunting challenge, a featureless landscape that can confuse even the most seasoned traveler. The polar regions, though inhospitable, are not without their allure. There is a stark beauty in the endless white, a purity that captivates the imagination. Yet, this beauty is intertwined with a harsh reality. The cold is an ever-present force, a reminder of the fragility of human life in such extremes. Frostbite and hypothermia are constant threats, as the body struggles to maintain warmth in an environment that leaches heat with relentless efficiency. Small mistakes in such a setting can have outsized consequences. A misstep onto thin ice, a failure to secure a tent against the wind, or an underestimation of the cold can quickly escalate into life-threatening situations. It is a place that demands respect and caution, where the environment cares little for human intentions or ambitions. Despite the challenges, the polar regions exert a pull on the human spirit, a call to explore the unknown and to push the boundaries of what is possible. It is a testament to the resilience and determination of those who venture into these extremes, seeking to understand and to chart the uncharted. In doing so, they become part of a long tradition of exploration, where the rewards are as much about the journey as they are about the destination. In this delicate balance of challenge and beauty, the polar regions stand as a testament to the power of nature. They remind us of the vastness of the world and of the limits of human endurance. Here, in the quiet places at the ends of the earth, there is a sense of timelessness, a reminder that the world is much larger and older than we often remember. The ice, the cold, and the silence are all part of this intricate tapestry, a backdrop against which the story of exploration continues to unfold, slowly and inexorably, as it has for centuries. In the quiet corners of our collective past, there are tales of exploration that unfold like whispers, barely audible yet profoundly significant. The Arctic, with its sweeping expanses of ice and mystery, drew the attention of European explorers who peered into its vastness with a mixture of determination and naivety. These early ventures were shaped by a world less known, where maps were more a reflection of hope than accuracy, and wooden ships were the vessels of dreams as fragile as the ice they traversed. The allure of the Arctic lay in its promise of discovery. To those early seafarers, it was a region shrouded in an ethereal cloak of ice and silence. The North, with its endless days and nights, beckoned with the possibility of untapped routes and new lands. It was a siren call that many could not resist. Yet, as they ventured into these cold waters, they often found their hopes met with challenges as formidable as the icy expanses before them. These explorers, despite their courage, were often unprepared for the severity of the climate. The cold was not merely an absence of warmth, but a palpable presence, creeping into bones and sinew, a relentless adversary that demanded respect and understanding. Early expeditions often saw their progress halted by ice fields, vast and unmoving, as if the Earth itself had decided to draw a line beyond which humans were not yet meant to tread. In this frozen world, navigation was a delicate art. The maps of the time were more suggestion than certainty, lines drawn with the best of intentions yet lacking the precision needed to navigate such treacherous waters. These maps, often based on second-hand accounts or pure speculation, left much to the imagination and even more to chance. Explorers frequently found themselves in unfamiliar waters, the landscape around them both a guide and a confounder. Wooden ships, the workhorses of these early voyages, were sturdy yet vulnerable. Constructed with care and skill, they were nonetheless at the mercy of the ice. The groaning of timber against the encroaching cold was a sound no sailor wished to hear, a reminder of how fragile their craft could be against the relentless push of the frozen sea. These ships carried not just men and provisions, but the weight of expectations, hopes bound up in their sails. The Arctic's icy labyrinth was a test of endurance and adaptability. Weather patterns shifted with little warning, and the clear skies could quickly become obscured by snow and fog, obscuring the way forward. The sun, when visible, provided only the most tentative of guidance, its path across the sky unfamiliar to those used to more temperate climes. The northern lights, beautiful yet enigmatic, cast an otherworldly glow, a reminder of how far from home these explorers truly were. As they pushed forward, the scale of the Arctic slowly revealed itself. What seemed manageable from the safety of a map unfurled into vast stretches of ice and water, each mile hard-won and laden with challenge. The explorers, in their eagerness, often underestimated the distances involved, the time required to traverse such immensity. Supplies dwindled, and the harsh reality of survival in such a place became all too apparent. In these early ventures, mistakes were inevitable. A wrong turn, a misjudged calculation, or a poorly timed decision could have consequences that rippled through the entire expedition. The Arctic was unforgiving of error, its vastness amplifying the smallest slip into a potential catastrophe. Yet each mistake was also a lesson, slowly accumulating in the collective knowledge of those who dared to chart these unknown waters. The explorers, in their persistence, began to understand the necessity of adaptation. The tools and techniques that had served so well in more familiar environments needed reconsideration in this new context. Sails needed adjusting to catch the faintest breeze, and supplies had to be rationed with a discipline that left no room for indulgence. Every decision was weighed carefully, for the margin between success and failure was often as thin as the ice itself. As these early adventurers ventured further, they encountered the indigenous peoples who called the Arctic home. These encounters were moments of quiet revelation, a testament to the adaptability of humans in even the harshest of environments. The native inhabitants, with their deep understanding of the land and its rhythms, provided invaluable insights, though often misunderstood or undervalued by those who saw themselves as the vanguard of exploration. The passage of time in the Arctic was different, measured not in hours or days, but in the slow march of ice and the shifting of seasons. The explorers, in their wooden ships, became part of this landscape, their presence a temporary mark in a place that knew only permanence. Each expedition was a dialogue with the environment, a conversation that unfolded slowly, punctuated by moments of clarity and confusion. In reflecting upon these early ventures, one sees the gradual accumulation of knowledge, a foundation laid by those who dared to step into the unknown. Their journeys, marked by both success and failure, began to outline the contours of a region that remained, in many ways, as mysterious as it was when they first set sail. The Arctic, a realm of cold and silence, whispered its secrets slowly, revealing them only to those prepared to listen with patience and humility. These initial explorations, while fraught with difficulty, were the beginning of a long dialogue between humanity and the polar regions. Each venture added a piece to the puzzle, slowly illuminating the complexities of a place that seemed, at times, almost beyond comprehension. The Arctic, with its vastness and its beauty, was a testament to the enduring spirit of exploration, an invitation to look beyond the horizon and find wonder in the world's quietest corners. In the mid-19th century, the icy expanse of the Arctic remained a largely uncharted mystery, a place where the known world gave way to the unknown. It was into this realm of ice and silence that Sir John Franklin ventured, commanding a British naval expedition with 2 ships, Erebus and Terror. The aim was to navigate the fabled Northwest Passage, a route that promised to link the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Yet, these ships and their crews would slowly fade from the known world, leaving behind a whisper of their presence in the vast and indifferent Arctic. The Franklin expedition set sail in 1845, meticulously planned and provisioned for a journey of several years. The ships themselves were marvels of their time, heavily reinforced for the ice-laden waters and equipped with steam engines and iron plating. The crew of 12 men was experienced and well-trained, each selected for their skills and endurance. On board were ample supplies, including preserved foods and modern navigational tools, a testament to the painstaking preparations made to ensure success. As the ships sailed into the Arctic waters, they were swallowed by the vastness of the region. The ice, silent and ever-shifting, formed a labyrinth that was treacherous to navigate. Here, the compass offered little guidance, swayed by the magnetic forces that lay beneath the surface. The sun, when it was visible, hung low in the sky, casting long, cold shadows over an endless expanse of white. In this environment, the smallest miscalculation could have profound consequences. The expedition's first winter was spent on Beechey Island, a small outpost amidst the wide Arctic Sea. Here, the crew settled into a routine, their ship secured in the grip of the ice. The surrounding silence was profound, broken only by the groaning of the ice and the occasional call of a seabird. As time passed, the crew would have become intimately familiar with the isolation of the Arctic night, where the darkness stretched unbroken for months. In the spring, the ships continued their journey. Yet the ice proved as relentless as ever, and progress was slow. The Arctic, with its shifting ice flows and sudden storms, tested the limits of human endurance. The men faced not only the physical challenges, but also the creeping uncertainty of their situation. The maps they carried were incomplete, their paths speculative at best. The passage they sought remained elusive, hidden behind walls of ice. As months turned into years, the expedition was beset by unforeseen challenges. The preserved food, intended to sustain the men over the long haul, began to spoil. Lead poisoning, a silent and insidious threat, seeped in through poorly sealed, tinned foods. The effects were gradual but debilitating, clouding minds and sapping strength. In the vast emptiness of the Arctic, such quiet adversaries were as perilous as any storm. With the passage of time, the ice tightened its hold. The ships became trapped, immobilized by the grip of the frozen sea. In this stasis, the routine of shipboard life continued. The men maintained their discipline, adhering to the rhythms of naval life as best they could. Yet, the isolation weighed heavily. The unchanging landscape and the sameness of the days stretching time into an unending haze. Communication with the outside world was impossible. The Arctic was a place where messages could not travel, where news of the expedition's plight would remain unknown. As the seasons turned, hope dimmed. Supplies dwindled, and the men faced the brutal arithmetic of survival in a place that offered little mercy. The disappearance of the Franklin expedition slowly became apparent to those in distant England. Yet, the Arctic, with its vastness and its secrets, gave up its answers grudgingly. Over the years, rescue missions ventured north, seeking traces of the missing ships and their crews. What they found were quiet remnants, a cairn here, a note there, whispers of a journey that had ended in silence. Ultimately, the fate of Erebus and Terror, along with their crews, was sealed by the unforgiving environment. The Arctic, indifferent to human endeavor, reclaimed them. These ships, once symbols of hope and exploration, became part of the landscape they had sought to conquer. The ice, as it always does, closed over them, leaving little trace of their passage. In the years that followed, the story of the Franklin expedition would become a poignant chapter in the history of exploration. It was a testament to the challenges faced by those who dared to venture into the unknown, a reminder of the thin line between ambition and hubris in the face of nature's vast indifference. As we reflect on this quiet disappearance, we are reminded of the profound mysteries that still lie within the polar silence, waiting patiently for those who seek them out. Amidst the vast, unyielding whiteness of the polar regions, the ships lay still, entombed in ice. The vessels, once vibrant with the spirit of exploration, now stood as silent sentinels against the endless horizon. The men aboard these ships faced an existence defined by routine, each day a mirror of the last. Time, like the ice, seemed to stretch infinitely, blurring the boundaries between hours, days, and weeks. The morning light, muted and often absent, roused the crew to life. In the dim glow, tasks were assigned with quiet efficiency. Each man knew his role, the repetition offering a semblance of normality amidst the isolation. Fires needed tending, decks required maintenance, and supplies had to be inventoried meticulously. In the cramped confines of the ship, space was precious, and order was paramount. Meals punctuated the day, their simplicity betraying the complexity of logistics involved in sustaining life in such a hostile environment. Salted meats, hard biscuits, and the occasional preserved vegetable formed the bulk of their diet. Each meal was a reminder of the ship's stores, dwindling imperceptibly yet inevitably with the passing weeks. Rations were measured carefully, a silent acknowledgement of the uncertain future. In the afternoons, men found solace in small tasks or personal rituals. Some took to writing journals, their words a private refuge from the monotony. Others repaired clothing or gear, hands working methodically to stave off the encroaching cold. Conversations were sparse, voices muffled by the oppressive quiet of the ice. Discipline was a constant companion aboard these frozen vessels. The captain's role was to maintain structure, his presence a steadying force against the potential chaos of cabin fever. Daily routines were enforced not out of necessity, but as a bulwark against despair. In such isolation, the mind could become as much an adversary as the elements outside. As daylight waned, the ship settled into a deeper silence. Men gathered in the mess for evening meals, a brief respite from solitude. Stories were shared, memories of home brought to life in soft tones. Yet, beneath the camaraderie, lay an unspoken understanding of their situation. The ice was indifferent to their presence, its grip unyielding, and its silence profound. Night brought with it the challenge of sleep, elusive and fragmented. For those aboard, dreams were often tinged with the cold, the subconscious mind echoing the ever-present reality. The absence of familiar sounds, birds, wind through trees, amplified the creaks of the ship and the distant groans of shifting ice. In the dim glow of lanterns, men lay awake, the weight of uncertainty pressing upon them. Days turned to weeks, the passage of time marked only by the changing position of the sun. Morale ebbed and flowed, a tide influenced by the smallest of factors. A letter from home, a successful repair, an unexpected glimpse of wildlife on the ice. Yet, as the months wore on, the strain became a constant undercurrent. Amidst this, the bonds between crewmates deepened, forged in the crucible of shared hardship. Trust was paramount, each man reliant on the other for survival. Conflicts, when they arose, were managed with care, the potential consequences of discord too grave to contemplate. In this frozen purgatory, unity was both a necessity and a comfort. The mental toll of such confinement was undeniable. Isolation, monotony, and the sheer scale of the environment wore down even the most resolute spirits. The mind, deprived of stimulation and novelty, turned inward, a process both introspective and perilous. Some found solace in faith, others in the simple act of observation, finding beauty in the play of light on ice or the stark silhouette of a distant peak. As winter deepened, the darkness extended its reach, the sun a fleeting visitor on the horizon. The long nights tested resolve, the cold seeping into bones and thoughts alike. Yet, amidst the challenges, there were moments of quiet grace. A shared joke, the sight of the aurora painting the sky, the warmth of camaraderie in the cold. The ice held its secrets, the world beyond the ship unreachable and vast. Yet, within the wooden hull, life continued, each day a testament to human resilience. The men aboard these vessels were pioneers, not just of geography, but of the human spirit. Their stories, whispered in the creak of timbers and the sigh of the wind, spoke to the enduring strength of those who ventured into the unknown. As the season turned, the anticipation of change stirred within the crew. The ice, though still dominant, would eventually relent. The hope of movement, of a return to familiar seas, was a distant promise that sustained them through the darkest days. And so, they waited, bound by duty and perseverance, as the frozen world around them slowly, imperceptibly, began to shift. In the vast expanse of the Arctic, a landscape defined by its relentless cold and unyielding ice, whispers of the lost Franklin expedition echoed quietly through the corridors of time. It was the mid-19th century, a period when the allure of the unknown drove men to venture into the perilous north, seeking to unravel the mysteries concealed beneath the endless white. The disappearance of the ships Erebus and Terror, along with their crews, beckoned many to the icy reaches, creating a silent cascade of further tragedies. The initial efforts to locate Franklin's crew were imbued with hope and determination. Yet, these noble intentions would soon reveal the harsh realities of Arctic exploration. As search ships navigated the frozen seas, they found themselves at the mercy of the same formidable elements that had engulfed Franklin's expedition. The ice, a stoic guardian of its secrets, gave nothing away easily. It was a place where even the most carefully laid plans could unravel with the shifting of a single floe. Each rescue mission carried with it the weight of expectation, not only to find answers but to return home safely. These voyages, often launched with great fanfare, soon became arduous tests of endurance and resilience. The searchers faced not only the physical challenges of navigating uncharted waters and enduring biting winds, but also the psychological strain of facing an unyielding adversary in the form of nature itself. As ships like the HMS Investigator and the HMS Resolute joined the search, the challenges mounted. The Arctic was a realm where time lost its usual cadence, stretching days into weeks and weeks into months. The sun, a rare visitor, cast long shadows over the ice, marking the passage of time as both a friend and foe. For those who ventured into this domain, the monotony of whiteness and silence became a constant companion, whispering doubts and fears into the ears of men who had once thought themselves unshakable. Despite the treacherous conditions, the rescue missions pressed on, driven by a blend of duty, curiosity, and the hope of unraveling the fate of their missing compatriots. Yet, the Arctic had little regard for human persistence. Ships became ensnared in the ice, much like Franklin's had, their crews left to grapple with the same adversities, dwindling supplies, weakening bodies, and the creeping sense of isolation that came with each passing day. The search for Franklin soon became a series of poignant tales, each expedition leaving behind its own legacy of loss. Men who had set out with the promise of finding their brethren instead found themselves battling the same relentless adversaries. The Arctic served as a silent arbiter, its icy grip claiming more lives, turning the noble pursuit of truth into a chain of tragedies. These missions, though intended as rescues, often became entrapments. The crews, caught in the web of ice and snow, faced their own trials of survival, mirroring the very fate they sought to uncover. It was a sobering reminder of the balance that nature maintained, indifferent to human intentions or desires. The ice, in its quiet majesty, held dominion, and the men who dared to challenge it found themselves humbled by its enormity. In the face of such adversity, the resolve of those who embarked on these rescue missions was both admirable and tragic. Their stories serve as a testament to the human spirit's capacity for hope in the face of overwhelming odds. Yet, the Arctic, with its vastness and silence, seemed to echo a reminder that some mysteries are better left undisturbed, lying quietly beneath the frozen surface. As the years passed, the search for Franklin became emblematic of the era's exploration ethos, a relentless quest for knowledge, often at great cost. The Arctic, in its quiet resilience, continued to hold its secrets close, offering only the barest of clues to those who sought them. The men who ventured into this realm, driven by a desire to uncover the truth, found themselves entwined in a narrative of silence and endurance, where answers were as elusive as the shifting ice. In the end, the search for Franklin was not just a journey through the Arctic, but a journey into the very nature of exploration itself. It was a reminder of the delicate balance between ambition and humility, a balance that the Arctic, in its infinite patience, maintained with unwavering resolve. As the ice slowly reclaimed the traces of human endeavor, the lessons of these expeditions were etched into the annals of history, a quiet testament to the indomitable spirit of those who dared to venture into the unknown, only to find themselves part of its enduring mystery. In the vast southern reaches of our planet lies a land unlike any other. Antarctica, a continent of ice and solitude, stretches across over 14 million square kilometers, maintaining its quiet vigil at the bottom of the world. Its sheer scale and isolation stand as a testament to nature's grand design, untouched by time and largely indifferent to the comings and goings of humankind. For centuries, this icy expanse remained an enigma, distant and elusive, far removed from the grasp of human curiosity and ambition. Unlike its northern counterpart, the Arctic, which is bordered by continents and surrounded by the familiar, the Antarctic is circumscribed by the relentless Southern Ocean. Its vastness is amplified by an unforgiving climate and treacherous seas, making early exploration not just daunting but nearly insurmountable. The cold here is not just a passing chill, it is a constant presence, seeping into the bones, a reminder of the continent's unyielding nature. The journey southward required a commitment to traverse the roaring 40s and fearsome 50s, notorious latitudes where the winds whipped the seas into a perpetual frenzy. For those early explorers, the passage was fraught with challenges that tested their resolve and the limits of their wooden vessels. The further south they ventured, the more they realized the ocean itself was a barrier, a guardian of the icy realm beyond. This geographical remoteness, coupled with the absence of indigenous human life, meant that for the longest time, Antarctica was a whisper on the wind, an idea rather than a destination. There were no tales of peoples to meet, no ancient maps marking its presence, nor legends to lure the curious. In this silent realm, the land remained an untouched canvas, its story unwritten and its mysteries preserved beneath layers of ice. The first recorded sighting of the continent occurred only in the early 19th century, a relatively recent chapter in the annals of exploration. This delay in discovery was not merely due to its geographic isolation, but also because of the limited technological capabilities of the time. Ships were at the mercy of the elements. Navigation was an art as much as a science, and the prospect of venturing into the unknown demanded more than the spirit of adventure. It required enduring hardship and uncertainty. The Antarctic landscape, with its towering icebergs and vast ice shelves, presents a formidable spectacle. It is a place where the horizon stretches into infinity, a stark white canvas punctuated by the occasional emergence of rock or the shadow of a distant peak. The silence here is profound, broken only by the occasional crack of ice or the distant call of a lone seabird. This silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a presence in itself, a reminder of the isolation and the enduring patience of the natural world. As explorers finally began to chart these distant waters, they were met with an environment that defied their expectations. The ice was not just an obstacle, but a dynamic entity, shifting and changing, revealing and concealing. It was a reminder that here, in this frozen wilderness, nature was firmly in control. The scale of Antarctica, its vastness and its emptiness, demanded a new kind of humility, a recognition of human limits in the face of such grandeur. Yet, despite these challenges, the allure of the Antarctic remained. It was a land of scientific promise, a natural laboratory where the very forces shaping our planet could be observed in their rawest form. The desire to understand, to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the ice, drew scientists and explorers alike, forging a path into the unknown. Over time, the continent's icy heart began to reveal its secrets. The unique ecosystems, the adaptations of life forms to such extreme conditions, and the clues to Earth's climatic past all hinted at the continent's importance. Each discovery, each small step into the interior, was a testament to human perseverance and the quiet quest for knowledge that drives exploration. Antarctica, though late to enter human history, holds a unique place within it. It is a reminder of the vastness of our world and the limits of our understanding. Here, more than anywhere else, the natural world remains untamed, a silent guardian of the secrets of time. The slow, steady march of exploration into Antarctica reflects a broader narrative of understanding our planet. It is not a tale of conquest, but of coexistence, a recognition of the delicate balance that sustains life in even the harshest of environments. As humans continue to venture into this icy realm, they do so with a growing respect for its fragility, an awareness that in this remote corner of the Earth, the forces of nature operate on their own terms. In the quietude of Antarctica, where the ice meets the sky, the story of exploration continues to unfold, a gentle reminder of the enduring mystery and majesty of our world. Here, at the ends of the Earth, the journey is not merely one of discovery, but of reflection, a chance to pause and consider the intricate tapestry of life and the timeless dance of the elements that shape it. In the early years of the 20th century, the icy expanse of Antarctica called to explorers with a quiet insistence. Among those who answered was Robert Falcon Scott, a naval officer with a steadfast determination to unlock the secrets of the southernmost continent. His journey, known as the Discovery Expedition, was not merely a voyage into the frozen unknown, but a gradual unfolding of lessons that would come to define the human relationship with this remote wilderness. The journey began in 1901, as the ship Discovery set sail from the port of Cardiff. The mood was one of cautious anticipation, tempered by the knowledge that little was known about the vast white continent. Scott's expedition was one of the first British attempts to explore the Antarctic interior, and the challenges were as enormous as the icebergs that drifted silently through the Southern Ocean. The ship itself was specially designed for polar conditions, with a stout hull to withstand the crushing ice, yet it remained vulnerable to the whims of nature. Upon reaching the edge of the Antarctic, the crew was greeted by a landscape both magnificent and forbidding. The ice stretched endlessly, a frozen sea under the low sun, and the air was crisp, almost painfully so. Here, in this silent expanse, the true scale of their undertaking began to sink in. Unlike the Arctic, which had seen centuries of exploration, Antarctica was largely untouched, a blank canvas waiting to be mapped and measured. The first lesson Scott and his crew learned was one of scale. The distances were vast and the terrain unforgiving. The lack of human landmarks made navigation a constant challenge, turning what seemed like a short distance on a map into a grueling trek across ice and snow. The Antarctic had an unsettling way of making even the most meticulous plans appear naive. The crew quickly realized that their reliance on technology, however advanced for its time, was insufficient against the sheer magnitude of the natural world. As the expedition progressed, the friction between human ambition and environmental reality became more apparent. The weather, unpredictable and severe, often thwarted their efforts. Blizzards would descend without warning, enveloping the landscape in a whiteout that obscured all sense of direction. In these moments, the men were forced to halt, their progress dictated by the elements. It was a humbling reminder of the limits of human control. The expedition was also a test of endurance, both physical and mental. The harsh conditions, combined with the monotony of the endless ice, placed a strain on the crew. Days and nights blurred together in the perpetual twilight of the polar summer, and the isolation was profound. Yet amidst these challenges, small victories were achieved. The team made significant geographical discoveries, charting unknown coastlines and gathering valuable scientific data. Each achievement, though modest, was a step forward in the slow accumulation of knowledge about this enigmatic continent. Life on the ice was a study in adaptation. The men learned to conserve energy, moving slowly and deliberately to avoid exhaustion in the thin air. They rationed supplies carefully, aware that a single miscalculation could have dire consequences. Communication, too, was limited, with the vast distance to civilization rendering any hope of rescue a remote possibility. In this environment, camaraderie and discipline became essential, as the crew relied on each other for support and survival. Throughout the expedition, the interplay between human planning and environmental reality was a constant theme. Scott, ever the planner, found his meticulous strategies often at odds with the unpredictable nature of the Antarctic. He learned, perhaps reluctantly, that flexibility and adaptation were as crucial as preparation. The environment demanded respect, not conquest, and those who ventured onto its ice had to be willing to listen and learn. As the months passed, the crew grew more attuned to the rhythms of the Antarctic. They learned to read the weather, to understand the subtle signs that hinted at changes in wind and temperature. They also came to appreciate the quiet beauty of their surroundings, the way the light played across the ice, casting long shadows in the eternal twilight. It was a landscape that inspired awe and demanded humility. The Discovery expedition was, in many ways, a prelude to later, more ambitious ventures. It laid the groundwork for future explorations, providing invaluable insights into the challenges of Antarctic travel. Scott and his crew returned with a deeper understanding of the continent, their experiences a testament to the slow, often painstaking process of exploration. The lessons they learned, though hard-won, would guide those who followed in their footsteps. In the end, Scott's first journey to Antarctica was not defined by dramatic triumphs or catastrophic failures. Rather, it was a quiet, steady progression towards knowledge and understanding. The expedition marked the beginning of a new era in polar exploration, one characterized by a growing appreciation for the delicate balance between human endeavor and the natural world. As the ship Discovery sailed north, leaving the icy continent behind, Scott carried with him the realization that Antarctica, with its silent expanses and hidden depths, would continue to challenge and inspire those who dared to explore its mysteries. In the stillness of the early 20th century, beneath vast skies and endless horizons, a quiet yet determined rivalry began to unfold. The South Pole, a place of profound remoteness and mystery, became the focal point of national ambition. Nations, with their eyes set on this untouched frontier, sought not just to claim geographical accomplishments, but to quietly assert their presence on the global stage. Yet, this race was not marked by the clamor of competition, but by the soft, persistent pressure of preparation and the delicate balance of pride and perseverance. The Antarctic landscape, so stark and indifferent, stood as a silent judge, observing the meticulous efforts of those who dared to challenge its dominion. The men who embarked on these expeditions were acutely aware that success lay not in the brashness of their approach, but in the steadiness of their preparation. Each decision, from the choice of transport to the supplies carried, had to be considered with the utmost care. The polar environment demanded respect, a humility that came from understanding its vastness and unpredictability. Among the national contenders, two figures emerged prominently in this subdued contest: Robert Falcon Scott of Britain and Roald Amundsen of Norway. Both men, seasoned in the art of exploration, approached the South Pole with a quiet determination, each bringing his own philosophy to the task. For Scott, the journey was a matter of national pride, a step towards consolidating Britain's legacy as a leader in exploration. Amundsen, driven by the spirit of discovery and the pursuit of knowledge, aimed to contribute to Norway's standing in the world. Their paths, while seemingly parallel, diverged in significant ways. Amundsen, having initially planned an expedition to the North Pole, redirected his efforts southward upon learning of Robert Peary's claim to the north. His decision, made with the calm calculation of a chess player, set the tone for the competition that followed. He chose to embrace the simplicity and reliability of dog sledges, understanding the symbiotic relationship between the animals and the men who guided them. This choice, rooted in the knowledge of Arctic survival, would become a cornerstone of his strategy. Scott, on the other hand, opted for a more complex approach, integrating the use of motor sledges alongside ponies and man-hauling. His expedition, heavily laden with scientific equipment, reflected a broader vision that extended beyond the mere act of reaching the pole. The journey was as much about gathering knowledge as it was about planting the Union Jack on the southernmost point of the globe. Yet, this multifaceted strategy introduced variables that would quietly challenge his team's resilience. As each preparation unfolded, the subtle pressures of the race manifested not in overt confrontation, but in the quiet introspection of each leader and their teams. The Antarctic, with its vast white expanses, left ample room for reflection, where the weight of decisions could be felt in the silence between footsteps. The men trained relentlessly, testing their endurance against the cold, the wind, and the vast emptiness that stretched before them. Each camp set up with care, each route planned with precision, became a testament to their resolve. The routes chosen by both explorers revealed much about their understanding of the land they sought to conquer. Amundsen, with his intimate knowledge of snow and ice, chose the Axel Heiberg Glacier as his pathway to the plateau. This route, though steep and challenging, promised a direct line to the pole. Scott, opting for the Beardmore Glacier, followed in the footsteps of his earlier expedition, confident in the familiarity of the terrain. Yet, the Antarctic held no favoritism, each choice bringing with it unseen challenges and trials. As the starting lines were drawn, the world watched with quiet anticipation. The race, though far removed from the everyday lives of most, captured the imagination of many. Newspapers chronicled the progress of the expeditions, their words carrying the hopes and aspirations of nations across oceans and continents. Yet, for the men on the ice, the journey was a solitary one, marked by the rhythmic crunch of snow underfoot and the ever-present hum of the Antarctic wind. In the end, the race was not defined by speed alone, but by the endurance of spirit. Amundsen's team, moving with the unerring instinct of those in tune with their environment, reached the pole first. Their achievement, marked by the quiet raising of the Norwegian flag, was a testament to meticulous planning and a deep respect for the land. Scott's team, arriving days later, found not only the flag but also the realization that their journey was now a race for survival. Both expeditions, in their own way, left an indelible mark on the history of exploration. They demonstrated the power of preparation and the quiet strength of the human spirit when faced with the vastness of the unknown. The South Pole, indifferent to the struggles and triumphs of men, continued to stand as it always had, a place of profound silence and eternal ice, where the only true victor was the landscape itself. In this quiet rivalry, there were lessons learned, not just about the extremes of nature, but about the enduring nature of human ambition and the calm determination that lies at its heart. In the hushed stillness of the early 20th century, the final expedition of Robert Falcon Scott unfolded with a quiet solemnity. From the outset, the journey was not marked by sudden calamities or dramatic turns. Instead, like a slow-moving current beneath a sheet of ice, it advanced with an inevitability that was both gradual and relentless. The journey to the South Pole was conceived in a time when the world was still vast and largely unexplored. Antarctica, with its expansive white deserts and hidden depths, held a particular allure, a challenge that beckoned explorers with the promise of discovery and the prestige of conquest. Scott and his men set out with determination, their preparations a blend of meticulous planning and the constraints of the era. They had learned from previous expeditions, yet the vast, indifferent landscape of Antarctica held lessons that were yet to be fully understood. The environment was one of extremes, where temperatures plummeted with little warning and the wind swept across the ice with an unyielding force. Days and nights blurred in the endless daylight of the polar summer, a disorienting light that gave way to shadows as the season wore on. The expedition's progress was steady but fraught with challenges that accumulated over time. Unlike a single catastrophic event, the difficulties they faced were numerous and incremental. Weather conditions fluctuated, often adverse, with snowstorms that erased the horizon and left the men trudging through blinding whiteness. The cold seeped into their bones, a persistent presence that no amount of layering could fully ward off. Each step toward the pole was a test of endurance, a quiet contest between human will and nature's vast indifference. As the men journeyed southward, exhaustion became a constant companion. The physical demands of the trek were immense, and the toll on their bodies was gradual yet profound. Sleep, when it came, was often restless and broken by the harsh conditions. Their rations, carefully calculated, offered sustenance but little comfort. Calories were burned faster than they could be replenished, and the men grew leaner, their strength slowly ebbing away. The knowledge that the journey back awaited them weighed heavily, a distant reminder of the challenges yet to come. The return from the pole was marked by a sense of quiet resignation. Having reached their goal, the men faced the long march back, their spirits tempered by the achievement but shadowed by fatigue. The weather, ever unpredictable, turned against them with a vengeance. Temperatures dropped further, and the winds became more biting, cutting through their clothing and sapping their remaining energy. The sledges they had relied upon became heavier burdens as snow accumulated, and the terrain grew more treacherous. Throughout this journey, there was no sudden disaster to mark the beginning of the end. Instead, the decline was a slow, inexorable progression. Scott and his companions pushed forward, aware of the odds yet driven by a sense of duty and the hope of survival. Each day was a continuation of the last, a routine of setting camp, breaking it down, and moving onward. The landscape around them remained unchanged, a white expanse that offered neither comfort nor reprieve. As supplies dwindled, the men were forced to ration more strictly. Their meals became smaller, less frequent, and the energy they provided diminished. The physical strain was compounded by a mental fatigue, a weariness born of isolation and the endless repetition of the landscape. The camaraderie among the men was a solace, yet even this could not shield them from the creeping despair of their situation. Conversations grew quieter, focused on the necessities of survival rather than the grand ambitions that had propelled them southward. The end, when it came, was neither sudden nor unexpected. It was the culmination of a journey that had tested the limits of human endurance against the backdrop of an indifferent wilderness. Scott documented their experiences with a steady hand, his entries a testament to the resilience and fortitude of his team. As they made their final camps, the reality of their situation was clear, a gradual closing of a chapter that had begun with such promise. In these final days, the landscape around them remained as it had always been, indifferent to their struggles. The ice and snow continued their slow, relentless shift, a constant reminder of nature's enduring presence. It was a silence that enveloped them, a stillness that marked the end of their journey. The story of Scott's final expedition is not one of sudden tragedy, but of a gradual, dignified end, a testament to the quiet strength and resolve of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. In the vast expanse of cold and desolation that defines the polar regions, few stories stand out quite like that of Ernest Shackleton and his crew aboard the Endurance. Their journey is not one of triumph over nature, but rather a testament to human resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a quiet narrative of patience, leadership, and the will to survive. The Endurance set sail in 1914, part of Shackleton's ambitious plan to traverse Antarctica from sea to sea via the South Pole. However, nature had other plans. Before the crew could even set foot on the continent, the ship became trapped in the dense pack ice of the Weddell Sea. Here, surrounded by endless white and the droning silence of the ice, began an ordeal that tested the limits of human endurance. Shackleton's leadership emerged as a steadying force amid the encroaching ice. He understood that in this frozen prison, survival depended not on force or struggle, but on patience and adaptability. The ship, their intended means of exploration, became their temporary home. Within its wooden hull, the crew maintained routines designed to preserve morale and sanity. They held on to the small comforts that could be scavenged from the confines of their trapped vessel. Months passed in this icy stasis, the ice slowly crushing the Endurance with relentless pressure. Shackleton knew that when the ship inevitably succumbed, their fight for survival would truly begin. His decisions were marked by foresight as he prepared the men for the eventuality of abandoning ship. He rationed supplies carefully, ensuring that they would last through the unknown trials ahead. When the Endurance finally yielded to the ice and sank, the men took to the ice with lifeboats and scant provisions. Shackleton's patience and planning came to the fore as he led his crew northward, hoping to reach safety. Their journey across the ice was a slow, arduous march, marked by careful navigation and the ever-present threat of the ice breaking beneath them. It was during these times that Shackleton's leadership shone brightest. He maintained a calm presence, instilling confidence in his men. He made sure that each of his crew was accounted for, their spirits kept as buoyant as possible in the face of their bleak circumstances. His decisions were deliberate, avoiding unnecessary risks while taking advantage of any small opportunity that presented itself. The crew eventually reached the open sea, where the lifeboats became their only refuge. These small vessels, battered by the elements, were a fragile sanctuary against the vastness of the Southern Ocean. Shackleton's navigation skills, honed over years of seafaring, guided them to the desolate shores of Elephant Island. Here, a new chapter of waiting began, as the inhospitable island offered little in the way of sustenance or comfort. Recognizing the need for rescue, Shackleton made the difficult decision to leave the majority of his men behind, setting out with a small party in the James Caird, a reinforced lifeboat. Their destination was South Georgia, a whaling station nearly 800 miles away. The journey was a testament to human perseverance as they faced monstrous waves and biting cold. Shackleton's patience and resolve were once again vital as he navigated by the stars and the sun, steering them through treacherous seas. After weeks at sea, South Georgia appeared on the horizon. Shackleton's relief was tempered by the realization that the journey was not yet over. The James Caird landed on the wrong side of the island, necessitating a treacherous overland crossing to reach the whaling station. Shackleton, with 2 companions, traversed the island's icy mountains and glaciers, driven by the knowledge that the lives of his men depended on his success. Reaching the whaling station marked the beginning of the end of their ordeal. Shackleton was quick to organize a rescue operation, returning to Elephant Island to retrieve his stranded crew. It is perhaps this unwavering commitment to his men that defines Shackleton's legacy. He brought every member of his crew home alive, a rare outcome in the annals of polar exploration. In this story of survival, we find a quiet heroism born not of conquest, but of endurance. Shackleton's patience, his leadership, and his refusal to abandon hope in the face of overwhelming adversity provide a stark contrast to the many tragedies that unfolded in the polar regions. His journey reminds us that sometimes the greatest victories come not from overcoming nature, but from enduring alongside it. The ice and wind of the polar regions are indifferent to human endeavor. Yet, within their embrace, Shackleton's story stands as a testament to the quiet strength of human spirit, a reminder that survival often hinges on patience, leadership, and the unyielding will to persevere. In the silence of the Antarctic, where time stretches and the vastness remains unchanged, Shackleton's legacy endures, a testament to the enduring bond between humanity and the relentless forces of nature. In the early 20th century, the world was on the cusp of technological transformation. In cities, electric lights began to replace gas lamps, and motor cars appeared on cobblestone streets. Yet, in the vast polar regions, these advancements seemed distant and often inadequate. The explorers who ventured into these icy realms carried with them the promise of new technology, hopeful that it might ease their journey. But as they faced the relentless elements, they found that the technology of the time was not as invincible as they had believed. The extreme cold of the polar regions posed a formidable challenge. Clothing, designed to insulate and protect, was often the first line of defense. Early explorers relied on wool and fur, materials that had been used for centuries. However, even the thickest garments could not fully guard against the biting winds and sub-zero temperatures. The cold seemed to seep through every layer, a persistent adversary that technology struggled to overcome. As explorers trudged over endless ice, they found their progress slowed by frostbite and the numbing chill. Sledges, designed to transport supplies, became another point of contention between human ingenuity and nature's might. While some were pulled by dogs, others relied on human strength. The sledges themselves, crafted from wood and metal, were often heavy and cumbersome. In the deep snow, they sank, and on the ice, they skidded uncontrollably. The hope was that they would facilitate movement across the vast, featureless landscapes. However, the unpredictable surfaces of the polar ice could turn these aids into burdens, and despite their robust construction, they were susceptible to damage from the harsh conditions. Navigation tools, essential for charting courses through the blank expanses, also faced their own limitations. Compasses, which guided explorers through the rest of the world, became unreliable near the magnetic poles. The Earth's magnetic field, a natural wonder in itself, rendered these instruments erratic. Sextants and chronometers, although precise, required clear skies to function, and the polar weather often denied such clarity. Clouds and storms concealed the stars, leaving explorers to rely on instinct and luck as much as on their navigational devices. Communication technology, still in its infancy, offered little comfort to those in the polar wilderness. Radios, when available, were bulky and difficult to operate, their signals weak and easily disrupted by the vast distances and atmospheric conditions. The isolation felt by these explorers was profound, as they realized that the outside world was beyond reach, and assistance was often a distant hope rather than a certainty. In the silence of the ice, the limits of human connection became starkly apparent. The promise of mechanized transport captured the imagination of many. Motorized sledges, early precursors to the snowmobiles of today, were introduced with much anticipation. Yet their engines, designed for milder climates, faltered in the extreme cold. Fuel would gel, and moving parts froze, rendering these machines immobile and leaving their operators to revert to more traditional methods. The dream of effortless travel across the ice remained just that, a dream. Meanwhile, the constant threat of the ice itself, a vast and shifting entity, was an ever-present challenge. Ships, designed to withstand the pressures of the sea, found the polar ice a formidable opponent. Wooden hulls creaked and groaned under the immense force, and even reinforced vessels risked being trapped or crushed by the shifting, grinding flows. The technology of shipbuilding had advanced, yet the polar ice presented conditions beyond what most vessels could endure. In these conditions, the limitations of early 20th century technology became clear. The ingenuity and determination of those who ventured forth were undeniable, but the polar environment required more than what their tools could provide. The elements demanded respect, and the explorers learned that technology, while a helpful ally, was not infallible. It was a humbling realization that in the face of nature's immense power, human innovation had its limits. The lessons learned from these early expeditions informed future approaches. As technology advanced, so too did the equipment and strategies for polar exploration. Lighter materials, more reliable engines, and improved navigation systems gradually emerged. Yet, the fundamental truth remained. The poles were places of extremes, where technology must constantly evolve to meet the relentless challenges posed by nature. In recognizing these limits, explorers gained a deeper understanding of the environment and their place within it. It became clear that success in such hostile territories required not only physical tools, but also a mindset of adaptability and humility. As the world continued to innovate, the lessons of the polar regions served as a reminder of the delicate balance between human ambition and the natural world. Thus, the story of technology in the polar regions is one of gradual adaptation and continuous learning. It is a quiet testament to the resilience of those who dared to dream of reaching the ends of the earth, and the ever-present reminder that in the vast, silent expanses of ice and snow, nature has the final say. As time moves forward, the dialogue between technology and the poles continues, each informing the other in a perpetual dance of discovery and respect. In the remote serenity of the polar regions, where silence is as vast as the ice fields themselves, many stories have quietly slipped beneath the surface of public consciousness. These stories, less renowned than the grand tales of Scott or Shackleton, are nonetheless woven into the fabric of polar exploration. They are the stories of expeditions that aimed for discovery and fortune, but met with silence, or worse, were lost altogether to time and ice. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, the poles beckoned not only to explorers, but also to those in search of economic opportunities. Whaling, for example, drew many to the icy waters of the Arctic. The whales, massive and majestic, promised oil and baleen, commodities that fueled industries far removed from the icy seas. Yet, the pursuit of these creatures sometimes led to unforeseen consequences. Ships, designed for the rigors of whaling, occasionally found themselves at the mercy of the ice. Trapped and crushed, they left crews stranded in an unforgiving environment. Here, survival was not guaranteed, and many whalers were quietly claimed by the cold. Scientific missions also ventured into these remote corners of the world, driven by a desire to understand the unknown. The polar regions, with their extreme conditions and unique ecosystems, offered a wealth of knowledge to those willing to brave the elements. Yet, the harsh reality of these regions often outpaced human preparation. Expeditions set out with optimism and curiosity, only to find themselves overwhelmed by the challenges they faced. The unforgiving climate, the isolation, and the vast, unyielding landscapes tested even the most resilient of spirits. Consider the story of the Russian polar expedition led by Eduard Toll in the early 1900s. Toll, an experienced Arctic explorer, embarked on a mission to discover new lands and conduct scientific research. His journey took him to the New Siberian Islands, where he hoped to find the legendary Sannikov Land, a purported landmass that tantalized explorers with the promise of discovery. As winter tightened its grip, Toll and his small team were left to endure the long, dark months with dwindling supplies and no hope of rescue. Their fate remains uncertain, a reminder of how easily the polar night can consume those who dare to challenge it. Other expeditions, too, set out with high hopes, only to vanish without trace. The lure of the poles was strong, but so too was the risk. Navigational errors, underestimation of the cold, and inadequate provisions could quickly turn an ambitious journey into a desperate struggle for survival. The polar environment, indifferent to human endeavor, offered no solace. As the ice closed in and the temperatures plummeted, the line between life and death grew thin. In the early 20th century, a small German expedition sought to map and study the uncharted regions of East Greenland. Led by a determined scientist, the team hoped to unlock the secrets of this remote land. Yet, the harsh winter conditions soon enveloped them. With supplies running low and no possibility of rescue, the team faced the slow encroachment of starvation and exposure. Their story, like so many others, slipped quietly into obscurity, overshadowed by the more dramatic tales of polar exploration. These lesser-known tragedies serve as a poignant reminder of the pole's relentless power and the fragile nature of human ambition. While some expeditions are celebrated for their bravery and resilience, others are remembered only in the fading notes of ship logs or the scattered remnants left behind. The polar regions, vast and indifferent, have little regard for the intentions of those who journey into their depths. The tales of these forgotten tragedies are not merely cautionary. They are a testament to the enduring human spirit, the desire to explore, to learn, and to push beyond the boundaries of the known. Yet, they also underscore the importance of respect for the natural world, a world that, in its quiet majesty, continues to shape the history of exploration. In the end, the poles stand as a testament to both human endeavor and the limits imposed by nature. The stories of those who ventured into the unknown only to meet with silence remind us of the delicate balance between ambition and humility. As we look back on these forgotten chapters of polar exploration, we are left with a quiet reflection on the enduring allure and the formidable challenges of the world's most remote frontiers. In the vast, unyielding expanse of the polar regions, where the ice stretches beyond the horizon and the winds whisper secrets of an ancient world, the quiet adversaries of starvation, scurvy, and cold have claimed more lives than any fierce storm or sudden catastrophe. These are the silent killers, creeping slowly yet inexorably into the lives of those who dared to venture into these remote frontiers, often with little understanding of the true nature of the threats they faced. The extreme cold of the polar environments is a relentless force, sapping warmth with a quiet persistence. In the Arctic and Antarctic, temperatures can plunge to depths unimaginable to those accustomed to temperate climates. The human body, finely tuned to maintain warmth, finds itself in a constant battle to preserve its core temperature. Out here, the cold is not an assault but a gradual wearing away, a thief of heat that leaves its victims shivering and exhausted. A slight drop in body temperature, imperceptible at first, can lead to hypothermia, a condition that creeps in with numbness, confusion, and a deceptive sense of warmth. Yet it is not only the cold that challenges the resilience of explorers. Starvation, a slow and insidious foe, looms large in these desolate landscapes. In the polar regions, food is not merely sustenance, but a vital source of energy needed to combat the cold. The harsh environment demands more calories than the body typically requires, yet the availability of food is scarce. Supplies brought from distant lands often proved insufficient, and the lack of local resources left many expeditions dependent on finite stocks. As rations dwindled, the energy necessary to maintain body heat and perform the arduous tasks of survival became increasingly scarce. Hunger gnawed quietly, sapping the strength of even the most robust individuals. Scurvy, too, had its part to play in this grim trio. Caused by a deficiency of vitamin C, scurvy was a scourge of early explorers. Unbeknownst to many at the time, fresh fruits and vegetables, which were all but absent in their preserved rations, were crucial to preventing this illness. The symptoms, when they appeared, were subtle at first, a sense of fatigue and soreness in the limbs. But as the deficiency progressed, it became a more formidable adversary. Gums bled, teeth loosened, and old wounds reopened, all while the body weakened, leaving the sufferer susceptible to other maladies. Medical misunderstandings compounded these challenges. The nature of scurvy in particular was not well understood until the late 18th century. The link between the disease and diet was often overlooked or misunderstood in the quest for polar conquest. Remedies were inconsistent, and reliance on preserved foods, lacking in essential nutrients, meant the condition was a constant companion for many expeditions. The quiet accumulation of these deficiencies, unnoticed until it was too late, turned scurvy into a silent specter haunting the cold. The interplay of cold, hunger, and nutritional deficiency created a formidable barrier to survival. In the close confines of an expedition, where supplies were shared and the environment was unforgiving, these factors were magnified. Even the most experienced explorers, prepared as they might be, found themselves at the mercy of these slow, relentless forces. The body, deprived of warmth, energy, and nutrients, gradually succumbed, often without drama or spectacle, just a quiet slipping away into the eternal stillness of the polar night. Over time, small changes in understanding began to accumulate, offering glimpses of hope in this bleak narrative. Lessons learned from the losses and hardships of earlier expeditions slowly informed future ventures. The importance of nutrition, particularly the prevention of scurvy, became better understood. Gradually, the inclusion of citrus fruits or preserved juices in rations became standard practice, offering a simple yet effective defense against the disease. Similarly, knowledge of insulating techniques and the caloric demands of cold climates improved, allowing later explorers to better prepare for the challenges they would face. Yet, even with these advances, the polar regions retained their austere grip. The interplay of these silent killers, starvation, scurvy, and cold, remained a constant challenge, a reminder of the limits of human endurance in the face of nature's quiet indifference. The stories of those who succumb to these slow adversaries speak to the fragility of life in such extreme conditions, where survival is a delicate balance of preparation, knowledge, and the will to endure. In these remote expanses, where the landscape offers no quarter, the lessons learned are as enduring as the ice itself. Each small understanding gained from the past contributes to the broader tapestry of human exploration and survival. The silent killers of the polar regions, though subdued by modern knowledge and technology, remain a testament to the harsh realities faced by those who first ventured into the unknown, driven by curiosity and the desire to chart the ends of the earth. As we reflect on their journeys, we are reminded of the quiet strength required to navigate the delicate balance between human aspiration and the immutable forces of nature. In the vast, silent expanse of the polar regions, one can quickly become aware of the profound emptiness that stretches from horizon to horizon. The endless ice and snow reflect the muted light, creating a landscape that seems both infinite and unchanging. This stark simplicity, while breathtaking, also harbors an invisible threat that has challenged explorers for centuries: the creeping isolation that weighs on the mind. The polar environment is not just cold and inhospitable, it is also profoundly isolating. The silence is complete, broken only by the occasional groan of shifting ice or the distant cry of a lone bird. In such surroundings, the absence of familiar sounds can be unsettling. The relentless monotony of the landscape offers little in the way of distraction or comfort, leaving individuals alone with their thoughts for extended periods. This solitude is often compounded by the long polar nights, where darkness stretches for months on end, heightening the sense of disconnection from the rest of the world. For those who ventured into these regions, the psychological challenges were as formidable as the physical ones. The human mind, accustomed to variety and interaction, can struggle under such conditions. The absence of social contact and the repetitive nature of daily tasks can lead to mental fatigue. In the polar regions, where survival often depended on maintaining strict routines, this mental strain could quietly undermine an expedition's success. The lack of external stimuli could cause the mind to turn inward, magnifying fears and anxieties that might otherwise remain dormant. In the dim light of an Arctic winter, time seems to lose its meaning. Days blend into nights, and weeks can pass in a blur of sameness. This distortion of time can have profound effects on an individual's mental state. Without the usual markers of time's passage, it becomes difficult to maintain a sense of purpose. Goals that seemed clear and achievable at the expedition's outset can become obscured by the fog of monotony. The mind, starved of novelty, may begin to fixate on small grievances or perceived slights, sowing discord among even the closest-knit teams. The mental landscape of the polar explorer is often a delicate balance between resilience and vulnerability. The isolation can lead to a heightened awareness of one's inner world, where thoughts and emotions swirl unchecked by external distractions. This introspection can be both a blessing and a curse, offering moments of profound insight, but also the risk of spiraling into despair. The challenge lies in finding equilibrium, maintaining focus and morale when the environment offers little in the way of support. In these settings, the camaraderie of fellow explorers becomes a vital lifeline. Shared experiences and mutual reliance foster bonds that can withstand the pressures of isolation. Yet, even these relationships can be strained by the relentless proximity and lack of privacy that polar life entails. Small irritations can grow into significant tensions, and the need for space, both physical and mental, becomes a precious commodity in the confines of a shared tent or cabin. The psychological toll of polar exploration is not always visible, but it is ever present. The mind, like the body, requires sustenance and care to function optimally. In the absence of external stimulation, individuals must find ways to nurture their mental well-being. This might mean establishing personal routines, engaging in creative activities, or seeking solace in the natural beauty that surrounds them. Such strategies can help mitigate the effects of isolation, providing a sense of control and agency in an environment that often seems indifferent to human concerns. For some explorers, the polar regions offered a unique opportunity for reflection and self-discovery. The solitude and silence provided space to ponder life's larger questions, free from the distractions of the modern world. This aspect of exploration, while challenging, was also a source of profound insight and personal growth. The vastness of the landscape mirrored the vastness of the mind, inviting introspection and contemplation. Yet for others, the psychological strain proved insurmountable. The weight of isolation, combined with the physical hardships of polar life, could lead to a breakdown in mental health. Depression and anxiety, though often unrecognized at the time, were not uncommon among explorers. The stigma surrounding mental health issues meant that many suffered in silence, their struggles hidden beneath a veneer of stoicism and endurance. The impact of psychological isolation in the polar regions serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of mind and body. The challenges faced by early explorers highlight the importance of addressing mental well-being alongside physical preparedness. As understanding of psychological health has evolved, so too have the strategies employed by modern expeditions to support the mental resilience of their teams. Today, the lessons learned from past explorations continue to inform approaches to mental health in extreme environments, ensuring that the invisible threat of isolation is recognized and managed with care. In the quiet of the polar night, where time seems to stand still, the mind remains a dynamic and complex landscape. The challenges of psychological isolation reveal the intricacies of human resilience and the enduring need for connection, even in the most remote corners of the Earth. As the ice stretches unbroken to the horizon, the exploration of inner worlds continues, an integral part of the journey to the ends of the Earth. In the stillness of the polar regions, where time seems to stretch infinitely, nature quietly reclaims its domain. The icy expanses of the Arctic and Antarctic are vast and unyielding, their silence broken only by the soft whisper of the wind brushing over the snow. Here, human efforts and intrusions are but temporary imprints on an ever-changing canvas. Ships that once braved the frigid waters now rest beneath layers of ice, their stories gradually erased by the relentless march of time and cold. The poles, with their relentless cycles of freeze and thaw, have a way of swallowing the evidence of human presence. The wooden hulls of ships, once sturdy and proud, succumb to the crushing embrace of ice. As seasons pass, these vessels become part of the landscape, their outlines softened by snow and ice. The masts, which once reached skyward, are gradually consumed by the encroaching frost, leaving only faint suggestions of their former glory. Camps, once bustling with human activity, now stand empty, ghostly reminders of past endeavors. Tents and structures designed to withstand the harshest elements slowly yield to the persistent weight of snow. Fabrics tear, poles bend, and eventually all is buried beneath an unbroken blanket of white. The camps, once a hub of survival and adaptation, become indistinct mounds, indistinguishable from the surrounding drifts. The polar environment, in its quiet efficiency, leaves little trace of what once was. The winds, ever present and unwavering, carry away the lighter remnants of human habitation. Papers, clothing, and smaller items are swept into the vastness, scattered and lost in the endless expanse. What remains is gradually buried, layer upon layer, beneath the snow, held in the cold embrace of the earth where time stands still. Even the materials that seem most resilient are not immune to the polar reclaiming. Metal, though slow to yield, eventually succumbs to the corrosive power of the elements. Rust spreads silently, eating away at the iron and steel, transforming once shiny surfaces into mottled relics. The process is gradual, almost imperceptible, yet inexorable, as the polar environment exerts its quiet dominance over human artifacts. The poles are indifferent to human ambition, their vastness and isolation serving as reminders of nature's ultimate authority. Here, where life is scarce and conditions are extreme, the elements work slowly, but with certainty, to erase the marks of human endeavor. The snow and ice, ever shifting and renewing, cover all traces, leaving the landscape pristine once more. In this relentless cycle, the poles stand as a testament to nature's enduring patience. Ships disappear beneath the ice, camps fade into the landscape, and all that remains of human presence is gradually absorbed by the earth. The process is a gentle one, devoid of haste or urgency, as the poles continue their timeless dance with the elements, reclaiming what was always theirs. Yet within this narrative of reclamation, there is a sense of continuity. The polar regions, in their quiet way, preserve the past even as they erase it. Beneath the ice, where temperatures remain constant, relics of earlier explorations lie in suspended animation. Frozen in time, these artifacts tell stories of human endeavor, endurance, and the silent power of nature. They serve as reminders of the delicate balance between human ambition and the vast, unyielding forces of the natural world. As the polar regions continue their slow, inexorable reclamation, they offer a lesson in humility and respect. They remind us that, despite our best efforts to conquer and explore, we are but temporary visitors in these vast, indifferent landscapes. The poles, with their quiet persistence, teach us to appreciate the beauty of the natural world, to respect its power, and to understand our place within it. In the stillness at the ends of the earth, nature's reclamation is a gentle, unending process. It is a testament to the resilience of the natural world and a reminder of the impermanence of human endeavor. As we reflect on the polar regions and their quiet reclamation, we are invited to consider the broader cycles of nature, the delicate balance of life, and the enduring beauty of a world that continues unchanged long after we have gone. In the vast, frozen expanses of the polar regions, early expeditions met with challenges that were both formidable and humbling. These ventures into the icy unknown were not only tests of endurance, but also of understanding. The lessons gleaned from these trials transformed the way future journeys were conceived and executed. Through each misstep and hardship, the explorers of yesteryear left behind a legacy of knowledge that would quietly reshape the art of exploration. Initially, the polar expeditions were marked by a certain boldness, a confidence that was not always matched by the harsh realities of the environment. The early explorers, driven by a sense of discovery and national pride, often underestimated the sheer scale and unyielding nature of these regions. Their experiences taught a valuable lesson in humility, illustrating that nature, in its vastness, does not bend to human will. This recognition of nature's indifference became a cornerstone of later expeditions, fostering a respect for the environment that was as much about survival as it was about scientific curiosity. One of the key realizations from these early efforts was the importance of meticulous planning. The polar regions, with their extreme conditions, demanded a level of preparation that went beyond the usual norms of exploration. Logistical oversight, whether in the form of inadequate supplies or ill-suited equipment, often proved to be a quiet yet decisive factor in the fate of an expedition. Over time, explorers learned to anticipate the unexpected, accounting for the unpredictable shifts in weather and the vast distances that could stretch resources to their limits. This shift towards more careful planning reflected a broader understanding that in such environments, foresight was as essential as bravery. The harsh reality of the polar climates also brought about a change in how explorers approached their equipment and clothing. The biting cold and relentless winds required innovations that could provide not just comfort, but survival. From the development of more effective insulation materials to the design of clothing that allowed for greater mobility, each advancement was a testament to the lessons learned from those who had faced the elements with less. These improvements were incremental, born from the quiet acknowledgement of past shortcomings. They underscored the importance of adapting to the environment rather than attempting to conquer it. Nutrition and health also emerged as critical areas of focus. The slow, debilitating effects of starvation and scurvy highlighted the need for a deeper understanding of dietary requirements in extreme conditions. Expeditions began to place greater emphasis on the composition of rations, ensuring that they contained the necessary vitamins and nutrients to sustain life over extended periods. This shift was not immediate, but rather evolved from the accumulated experiences of those who had suffered from inadequate nutrition. It was a reminder that the body, much like the mind, needed careful tending in the face of relentless cold. The psychological toll of polar exploration, though less visible, was equally significant. The isolation and monotony of these environments could weigh heavily on the human spirit. Early accounts of expeditions often spoke of the mental strain that accompanied the physical challenges. As understanding grew, so too did the recognition of the need for mental preparedness. Strategies to maintain morale, such as structured routines and communal activities, became an integral part of expedition planning. These measures, though simple, provided a vital buffer against the quiet encroachment of despair that the endless ice could bring. Advancements in technology also played a crucial role in changing the face of polar exploration. Navigation, once a formidable challenge due to unreliable maps and shifting ice, became more precise with the development of better instruments and techniques. The ability to chart a course with greater accuracy reduced the risks associated with getting lost in the vast white expanses. Communication improvements, though gradual, allowed for a connection with the outside world that was previously unthinkable. These technological strides, while not eliminating risk, provided a degree of security that earlier explorers could scarcely have imagined. As each expedition built upon the experiences of those before it, a culture of knowledge sharing began to emerge. Diaries, logs, and reports became invaluable resources, documenting not just the successes but also the failures. These documents served as a bridge between the past and future, offering insights that could guide new generations of explorers. This tradition of learning from one another fostered a community of explorers who, despite the competitive nature of their pursuits, understood the value of collective wisdom in navigating the unknown. The transformation in polar exploration was not immediate, nor was it linear. It was a gradual process, shaped by the quiet accumulation of insights gleaned from hardship and perseverance. The polar regions, with their stark beauty and unforgiving conditions, demanded respect and adaptability. The explorers who ventured into these lands learned, sometimes at great cost, that humility and reverence for nature were as important as courage and determination. In the end, the lessons learned from polar tragedies were not about conquering the environment, but about coexisting with it. The polar regions, indifferent and vast, offered a canvas upon which the human spirit could test its limits. The changes in exploration practices reflected a growing understanding that success lay not in dominance, but in harmony with the natural world. This shift in perspective, subtle yet profound, marked a turning point in the history of exploration, setting a foundation for the safer and more informed journeys of the future. Through each lesson learned, the polar regions remain a testament to the enduring spirit of exploration, where the echoes of past endeavors continue to guide those who seek to understand the ends of the Earth. In the vast whiteness of the polar regions, where ice and sky meet in quiet communion, the nature of exploration has evolved. The biting cold and the relentless winds remain unchanged, yet the experience of venturing into these forbidding landscapes has shifted. Today's explorers tread paths that are, in subtle ways, more secure than those of their predecessors. Modern technology, with its quiet hum of progress, has gently reshaped the journey, though the respect demanded by these icy realms remains ever constant. Communication stands as a sentinel of safety in contemporary polar travel. Unlike the solitary figures of history who ventured northwards or southwards with only the vaguest promise of rescue, today's explorers are southwards with only the vaguest. Satellites cast their watchful gaze over the Earth, ensuring a continuous link between the isolated and the rest of humanity. This connection, silent and invisible, offers a lifeline. It allows for the sharing of vital information, the seeking of advice, and the reassurance that should trouble arise, aid is but a call away. Weather forecasting, too, has seen remarkable advancements. The skies, once inscrutable and foreboding, can now be read with a degree of accuracy unimaginable a century ago. Predicting weather patterns has become an art grounded in science, providing crucial insights into the whims of the polar climate. The knowledge of incoming storms or shifts in temperature allows for decisions that can mean the difference between safety and peril, thus reducing the unexpected and the uncontrollable. However, this increased safety is not solely the product of technology. It is also the result of a profound understanding garnered from the past. The tales of hardship and loss that pepper the history of polar exploration serve as quiet reminders of the environment's indifference to human endeavor. Modern explorers approach with humility, armed with not only equipment, but also the wisdom of those who came before. Rescue capabilities, enhanced by technology, further support this new era of exploration. Aircraft, capable of traversing vast distances, stand ready to assist in emergencies. Their presence, though often unseen, offers an assurance that was once absent. Yet, It is not merely the availability of rescue that matters, but the ability to prevent situations from escalating to the point of need. Training, preparation, and constant vigilance play their roles in ensuring that journeys are completed without incident. Despite these advancements, the essence of the polar experience remains unchanged. The ice, the silence, the overwhelming scale all continue to exert their quiet influence. Modern explorers, aware of the frailties that accompany human presence in such extremes, tread carefully. They are supported by technology, yet they are not shielded from the reality of their surroundings. The poles demand respect, and in return, they offer a glimpse into a world that is both beautiful and unforgiving. The clothing worn by today's adventurers speaks to the blend of tradition and innovation. Fabrics, designed to insulate and protect, draw on both new materials and the time-honored techniques of those who lived in cold climates long before exploration became an endeavor of the modern age. Layering systems, moisture-wicking properties, and windproof designs all play their part in maintaining a delicate balance between warmth and mobility. Navigation, too, has undergone a transformation. The stars, once the primary guides of explorers, have been supplemented by global positioning systems. Yet, the skill of reading the environment, of understanding the subtle cues offered by the land and sky, remains a valuable asset. Modern explorers must balance reliance on technology with a deep-seated knowledge of the natural world, ensuring that they can find their way even should the electronic aids falter. Transport methods have evolved, bringing a quiet efficiency to the movement across ice and snow. Mechanized vehicles, equipped to handle the harshest conditions, offer speed and convenience. Yet, in certain terrains, traditional methods such as dog sled still hold their place, valued for their adaptability and low impact on the fragile environment. The presence of scientific research stations in these regions also contributes to the safety of modern expeditions. These outposts of knowledge provide not only shelter and supplies, but also a community of experts who understand the unique challenges presented by the poles. They stand as beacons of human curiosity and resilience, supporting exploration while advancing understanding of these remote areas. Despite the many advancements, the poles remain largely untouched by human presence. Their vastness and remoteness ensure that they are places of solitude, where the natural world continues its quiet rhythms undisturbed. Those who venture into these environments do so with the awareness that while technology has reduced many risks, it has not tamed the wilderness. The polar regions, in their stark beauty, remind us of the limits of human control. The story of modern polar exploration is not one of conquest, but of coexistence. It is an ongoing dialogue between humanity and nature, where safety is achieved not through domination, but through understanding and respect. The poles offer no guarantees, and it is this uncertainty that continues to draw those who seek to explore them. In the end, the journey is as much about inner discovery as it is about charting the outer world. As the modern explorer stands on the ice, surrounded by silence and infinite space, they are part of a continuum that stretches back through history. The past informs the present, providing lessons that are as relevant today as they were in the age of wooden ships and uncertain maps. The story of polar exploration is one of evolution, where each step forward is marked by a deeper appreciation for the forces that shape our world. And so, with each expedition, we are reminded not only of what has changed, but of what remains profoundly the same. In the vast expanse of our planet, few places hold the same allure and mystery as the polar regions. These remote edges of the Earth have drawn explorers with a quiet persistence, testing the boundaries of human endurance and spirit. The polar regions, in their stark, icy silence, remain indifferent to the human presence, demanding much while offering little in return. The poles are places of extremes. Their climates are among the harshest on Earth, with temperatures plunging far below freezing and winds that sweep across the landscape with a relentless chill. Here, the sun behaves differently, offering months of daylight followed by an equally long stretch of darkness. This cycle, unyielding and indifferent, has a profound effect not only on the environment, but also on those who venture into its depths. The absence of the familiar day-night rhythm can play tricks on the mind, stretching time and distorting perception. These lands are not easily mapped or navigated. The ice shifts and changes, making the terrain a dynamic puzzle. Navigation, once based on the stars, becomes unreliable as compasses falter near the magnetic poles. The land and sea are a monochrome canvas where landmarks are scarce, and the horizon is a deceptive guide. This ever-changing landscape requires patience and respect, qualities that not all explorers have brought with them, leading to costly mistakes. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, as expeditions ventured further into these frozen realms, they encountered the limits of human capability. The polar environment does not bend to human will, and those who underestimated its power often paid the ultimate price. The poles demand resilience, the ability to endure not just physical challenges, but also the mental strain of isolation and confinement. The cold, a constant companion, seeps into every aspect of life in the polar regions. It numbs the body and slows the mind, sapping energy and will. Frostbite and hypothermia are ever-present dangers, creeping in quietly, often unnoticed until it is too late. The human body, despite its remarkable adaptability, struggles against these conditions. The cold does not discriminate, it affects all, regardless of preparation or experience. Time, in the polar regions, is both a friend and an adversary. It stretches and elongates, making days blend into nights and weeks into months. For those waiting for rescue or the thaw of spring, time can become a heavy burden, testing patience and resolve. Yet it is also a teacher, revealing the necessity of careful planning and the importance of pacing oneself against the backdrop of a vast, unyielding wilderness. The poles, with their extreme conditions, highlight the fragility of human life. They remind us that despite our technological advancements and our desire to conquer nature, we remain vulnerable. The expeditions to these regions have often ended in tragedy, not because of overt hostility from the environment, but due to the simple fact that the polar regions continue as they always have, indifferent to human presence. Yet in this indifference lies a profound lesson. The polar regions do not challenge us out of malice, they simply exist. Their vast, icy expanses continue on in silence, a reminder of the natural world's scale and complexity. Human endeavors to explore these regions reveal much about our own limits and the necessity of humility when facing nature's grandeur. The history of polar exploration is not solely one of loss and struggle. It is also a testament to human curiosity and the desire to understand the unknown. The challenges faced by early explorers have led to greater knowledge, not just about the polar regions, but about human capability and endurance. Each expedition, successful or not, has contributed to a broader understanding of both the natural world and the human spirit. In reflection, the poles reveal a truth about exploration itself. It is not always about reaching a destination or planting a flag. Often the journey is inward, a test of character and resilience. The polar regions, in their quiet, indifferent way, strip away the superficial, leaving only the essential. They demand respect and teach the value of preparation, patience, and the willingness to adapt. As we consider these journeys, we see that the poles, in their vastness, are more than just geographical extremes. They are places where the boundaries of human endurance are quietly tested, where the silence speaks volumes about the natural world's indifference and the resilience required to explore it. The poles, demanding yet indifferent, remain a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between human ambition and the forces of nature. In the far reaches of our world, where the Earth tilts towards its own extremes, the polar regions persist in their quiet, unyielding existence. Here, the vast expanses of ice and snow stand as both canvas and artist, shaping the landscape with an artistry defined not by haste, but by the slow, deliberate passage of time. The Arctic and Antarctic, with their boundless horizons and formidable climates, continue to whisper the stories of their ancient past, tales captured in layers of ice, pressed and preserved over millennia. The chill in these regions is one that runs deep, not merely in temperature, but in the profound quiet that permeates the air. The winds, though they may rise to a howl, often settle into a gentle murmur, a soft exhalation across the ice. This is a place where sound travels unencumbered, where the calls of distant creatures or the sharp crack of ice breaking can be heard with startling clarity. Yet, more often than not, silence reigns supreme, offering a stark contrast to the bustling noise of more temperate climes. As we consider the polar landscapes, it is their timelessness that captivates. The ice caps and glaciers, vast and seemingly immutable, are constantly on the move, advancing and retreating in a slow dance choreographed by the Earth's own cycles. These shifts are imperceptible to the hurried observer, but to the patient eye, they tell a story of resilience and change. The ice, with its gradual drift and flow, shapes the land beneath it, carving valleys and smoothing mountains, a testament to the power of time and persistence. In this realm of extremes, where temperatures plummet and the sun can disappear for months on end, life has adapted in remarkable ways. Creatures such as the polar bear and the emperor penguin have honed their existence to survive in these harsh conditions. Their lives unfold in tune with the natural rhythms of the poles, a testament to the tenacity of life even in the most inhospitable places. The presence of such life forms serves as a gentle reminder of the interconnectedness of all living things, regardless of how isolated they may seem. The polar regions also serve as a stark reminder of the delicate balance that sustains our planet. Here, The interplay between ice, ocean, and atmosphere is a dance of equilibrium, each element influencing the other in ways both subtle and profound. The ice reflects sunlight, cooling the Earth, while the ocean currents distribute this chill, influencing climates far beyond the poles. It is a system that, while robust, is also vulnerable to change, a reminder of the intricate web of connections that bind the Earth's systems together. In the stillness of these icy expanses, time seems to stretch and alter its pace. The cycles of freeze and thaw, of light and dark, unfold in a rhythm that can feel both eternal and fleeting. This sense of timelessness can evoke a meditative state, a space where the mind can wander freely, unburdened by the constraints of modern life. In this quietude, one might find a sense of perspective, a reminder of the broader scales of time and space that govern our existence. As we reflect on these polar realms, it is clear that they hold a unique place in our collective imagination. They stand as symbols of purity and endurance, of the majesty and mystery of the natural world. The challenges they present have long drawn explorers and scientists, individuals driven by a desire to understand and to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Yet, despite our advances, these regions remain largely untamed, their secrets guarded by the very elements that make them so formidable. The poles, with their vast wind-swept plains and towering ice formations, remind us of a world that exists beyond human time. Here, the processes of nature continue, unaffected by the passage of days and years as we measure them. It is a place where the Earth's ancient rhythms persist, offering a glimpse into the past and a quiet promise of the future. The ice, the wind, and the silence endure, indifferent to human presence, yet offering a gentle invitation to those who seek their mysteries. In contemplating the polar expanses, we find a space where the mind can drift, where thoughts can unfold at their own pace, unhurried and free. It is a place that encourages reflection, where one can consider the vastness of the world and the smallness of our place within it. The silence here is not empty, but full of potential, a canvas upon which to sketch our thoughts and dreams. Thus, we leave the poles as we found them, vast, silent, and timeless. In their stillness, they offer a final, gentle reminder of the enduring beauty and complexity of the natural world. As the ice continues its slow dance and the winds whisper across the frozen plains, the poles stand as a testament to the resilience of nature and the quiet majesty of the Earth's extremes. And so, as we conclude our journey, we carry with us the echoes of this timeless silence, a soothing balm for the wandering mind.